IELTS listening is gradually changing, and today we're going to walk through an official IELTS listening test that matches what students are seeing in the real exams right now. And I've done a lot of research for this video, so it's going to reflect the latest patterns as closely as possible. So we'll go through the full test from part 1 to part 4, cover all the question types, and practice the strategies together as we go. And these are the exact strategies that helped thousands of our students get band 8 or 9 in their listening, and I'm sure they're going to help you improve your score too. So let's start right away with part 1. This is the most stable part of IELTS listening. It's an everyday conversation, and the questions are fill in the blanks. And because this exact question type comes back again in part 4, anything learned here pays off twice. So with fill in the blanks, a lot of marks are lost for avoidable reasons. So here is how to find more correct answers. Well, first of all, read the instruction. It's usually write one word only or write one word and or a number. Very occasionally, you may need to write 2 words, so do read the instructions. And that matters because even if the meaning is correct, writing too many words loses the mark. So if the instruction says 1 word, the answer is station, not the station, because that's 2 words. Next, step 2. Look through the questions and try to predict the answer. Is it a number, a name, a place? For example, if we have a look at our task, number 1, prices range from $105 to... So we are looking for a number, the top price. Or number 2, the furniture is very... So we're looking for an adjective. Maybe it's very expensive or old. Step 3. Use grammar to narrow it down. Look at the words around the gap and decide what grammar form you need. If the sentence says gap are, then you need a plural noun like tickets. If it says a gap, then you need a singular countable noun like ticket. Step 4. Here is a key rule for this task. You don't add articles in your answers. If an article is needed, it will already be in the sentence. And remember, in listening, the questions come in order. So you stay with the question you're on and keep an eye on the next one. If an answer is missed, move on to the next question immediately. So step 6. Once the test is over and you have some time, for example, 10 minutes in IELTS on paper or 2 minutes in IELTS on computer, look through your fill in the blanks questions and check. Does each word fit grammatically? And did you spell it correctly? British and American spelling are both fine, but typos are still typos. Of course, all these strategies only work if you can use them in practice. So let's apply them right now and solve a few questions together. We're not going to do the whole section, just half. So pause the video and read questions 1 to 5. And when you're ready, resume the video.
Good morning.
Hi, this is Shelley Meyer. I'm renting your house on Archwood Avenue. I'm due to move in next week.
Oh, yes. Hello, Ms. Meyer. What can I do for you?
When I viewed the house, I told you I'll most probably need to rent some furniture, at least until I know whether my temporary work contract is going to be made permanent.
Yes, of course, I remember. And I said I could give you some information about furniture rental companies in the city.
That's right.
Well, the biggest company is called Peak Rentals. I've recommended them to other people and have always heard positive reports about them.
Could you give me an idea of their costs?
Sure. I actually have one of their brochures here. It says the monthly price per room starts at $105 and goes up to $239. That depends on which rooms you need furniture for, of course.
Sure, it's just to get a general idea of how much it's going to cost. And you said you had some positive feedback about this company?
Yes, people have mentioned that the furniture from Peak Rentals is more modern than any of the other companies. And also, once you place an order, the furniture will be delivered to you in just 1 or 2 days.
That would be really helpful.
Oh, and the brochure says that there's a special offer at the moment. If you rent living room furniture, I believe that's a set of chairs and a TV table, you'll also get a lamp at no extra cost.
Okay, but that price range you gave is more than I was hoping to pay.
Then you could try Aaron and Oliver.
Sorry, what and Oliver?
Aaron, Aaron.
Okay. Are they cheaper?
I'd say they're a mid-price company. But if you chose them, you need to be aware that they charge an extra 12% every month in case of damage.
Oh, I see. I'd have to do the math carefully then.
Right. But one helpful thing is that they also do cleaning for customers.
For the furniture?
For the house.
Oh, I see. I probably won't need that.
Okay, let's check the answers. For each one, I'm going to show you the transcript. So if you'd like to read it more carefully, pause the video. Answer number 1, 239. And if you look at the question again, the $sign is already there, so you don't need to include it in your answer. But if you do, your answer will still be accepted as correct. Number 2, the furniture is very modern. It's more modern than any of the other companies. Number 3, if you rent living room furniture, you also get a lamp at no extra cost. So the answer is lamp. One word only, not a lamp, which would be 2 words. Generally, we never include articles in our answers. If an article is needed, it will be in the question. In this case, it's simply omitted because, these are notes, so they're short. Number 4, Aaron, Aaron. Usually when we have a slightly unusual name like Aaron, or maybe a street name, you will hear it once or twice in full, and then it will be spelled out for you letter by letter. Like in this case. And if you hear double A, it means A. But if the name is very regular, for example, Space Rentals, you would be expected to write down the word space after hearing it just once. And number 5 is damage. You need to be aware that they charge an extra 12% every month in case of damage. How did it go? By the way, count how many questions you answer correctly throughout this video. And now let's move to part 2. And that's where we can see some changes in recent tests. Well, I know we didn't go super in depth into those fill in the blanks questions, and you may still have some questions left. But I publish all my listening and actually reading strategies for free here on YouTube, and I have detailed videos on each question type. And if you download my free IELTS study plan, it will help you find all those videos easily and make sure you cover all the areas you need to improve your score and to feel fully prepared for your test. I'll leave the link below if you'd like to download it. And now on to part 2. If you've practiced with older papers, you might have noticed that there used to be a more predictable pattern. You'd get either a long matching task in part 2 or a map, and then a big multiple choice set in part 3. But now the way these question types are used is much more flexible. So you may get a test with both a map and a matching task, or you might get neither and just see lots of multiple choice. In this test, we're actually gonna get all three across parts 2 and 3, which is a really good test to practice with. So let's start with the task that many students find the hardest in the listening section, multiple choice questions. We have 6 questions, 3 options in each. And multiple choice is rarely difficult because of vocabulary. There is just so much to read, and the options can get confusing pretty quickly. So here is a method that can make it more manageable. Some multiple choice questions have quite long options, and when I was preparing for this video, I did this test and I was following the instructions, and I could read only 5 questions out of 6, and then the recording started playing. And that's the problem. If you're reading a bit more slowly than me, you're gonna read even less. And it's pretty hard, or basically it's virtually impossible to answer these questions if you haven't read them first. And that's why it's a really good idea to use some of the revision time from the previous section, from part 1 in our case, to read ahead. Because it's more important to concentrate on questions coming next. And you can revise your answers in the extra time after the test. So now, while you're reading, don't try to remember every word. What you should do instead is highlight the keywords in the main questions. That way, you remind yourself about what each question is really about. Now, one more very important thing about multiple choice. In these questions, they love using distractors. What that means is, you may hear several options discussed, but only one of them is correct. For example, when you listen to our first question, you hear about all 3 options, but only one is the answer. The rule is this: don't choose an answer just because it was mentioned. Wait until you're sure it fits the question properly. Alright, let's apply that. We're gonna do questions 11 to 13 together. Pause the video, read the questions and options quickly, and then start the audio when ready.
Hello, I'm Hayden. I'm one of the archaeologists investigating the site here at Bidcaster. This is the 3rd summer for this community project, and most of the people digging here are volunteers. I'm a full-time archaeologist for the town council, but I was asked to join the project by NHA, a charity which sets up projects like this up and down the country. As you can see, we're next to Bidcaster Castle, which is great because the owners let us use their facilities. So, how did we get to where we are today? Many archaeology projects happen when an ancient object is found, and in our case, that object was a gold coin. Coins are often found by people using metal detectors to look for things buried in the ground, or coins are uncovered when wild animals like rabbits have been digging tunnels. Here, a walker found it on the ground after a rainstorm washed away some of the earth and sand. When the story of the gold coin hit the news, Peter Swift, an amateur historian, contacted me to say he believed there had been a village on this site, centuries before the castle was built. Just by chance, the team found some old maps and documents in our library, which showed 500-year-old drawings of ruined buildings on the grassy area between the outer stone walls of the castle and the river. We knew then we were onto something.
Alright, let's check the answers. There were a few distractors here. Let's look at question 11 first. So first of all, we hear from Hayden, and he's a full-time archaeologist for the town council. Okay, and we see the local council is option C. Is it the correct answer? Well, he continues by saying that he was asked to join the project by NHA, a charity which sets up projects like this up and down the country. So it was the charity which set up this project. The answer is B, a national charity. And then later, they mention the castle owners as well, but they say that they allow them to use their facilities. So this is another distractor. The answer is B. Question number 12. How was the gold coin found? By rain that removed some soil, or dug up by wild rabbits, or a person with a metal detector? Well, first of all, we hear that coins are often found by people using metal detectors, or coins are uncovered when wild animals like rabbits have been digging tunnels. So this is how they are often found. But what about our case? Well, in our case, a walker found it after a rainstorm washed away some of the earth and sand, or heavy rain had removed some of the soil. The answer is A. Number 13. This is the first one where distractors haven't been used. We just hear the answer straight away. The archaeologists believe there was an ancient village because the team found some old maps and documents in their library. So it was a lucky discovery of old records. Quite a lot of distractors in this one, right? If more than one option sounded possible, that's normal. Sometimes the right answer comes later, so the speaker lands on it eventually. Sometimes it's actually the first one he mentions. So be prepared for any eventuality. Now, part 2 switches to a map. Questions 17 to 20. And maps can feel stressful as there are so many things to look at, and if you're not sure where you are, it's easy to get lost. So here is a strategy that can help you find more answers and easily navigate around your map. First, a really useful thing to remember about maps in listening is the questions at the bottom are always in order. You're not jumping around the map randomly. You move step by step in the same order as the questions, 17, 18, 19. That's why when you have some time before the recording starts, it's usually smarter to start by reviewing the map itself, not reading the questions. Here is what to do first. Find the starting point. Sometimes it's literally you are here. Sometimes it's the entrance, reception, or something at the bottom. Next, look at the compass. This matters more than people think. If the speaker says to the north or in the southeast corner, you need to know instantly where that is on the map. So quickly register north, south, east, west. And then identify the main lines, the road, the path, the castle walls. Then you know where you are. And that gives you the structure, so you can follow the guidance. And then get ready for direction language. For example, next to can be said as besides. Opposite is across from. Past means go beyond. At the end of means the final point on the path. And finally, details matter. In map tasks, there are often 2 options that may fit the description, and there is just one detail that separates the correct answer from the incorrect one. Listen carefully. And now, pause the video, spend a few seconds reviewing the map, and then resume it and answer questions 17 to 20.
When you enter the site, please make sure you keep to the paths at all times. There are a few other things, the highlights of the site, if you like, that I want to mention. Take a look at the map. Our present location is marked at the bottom. This year, we've identified the foundations of an ancient bridge. And it's really exciting today because a team of divers are in the river searching for lost objects. To reach the bridge, take the main path ahead of you, go straight on, and keep going till the path bends to the left. You'll see a smaller track leading off to the right. Follow that to take you to the river, where the divers are. You might be interested to see the rubbish pit. This is very near the castle walls in the northwest corner of the site. It actually dates to the time of the castle and not the ancient village. We found oyster shells and fish bones, and we assumed they were thrown from the castle kitchen above. One area we excavated in the first summer uncovered the site of a meeting hall. We knew it was an important building because it had 2 rows of post holes, deep enough to support a large roof. It's the largest structure in the central area of the site, next to the current excavation area. Last year we discovered a fish pond in the ancient village. Normally these were beside a river. The pond here is further away, but it's possible the river has moved slightly. Anyway, to get there from here, you turn right at the first information board you come to and follow the path into the trees. Before you come out of the trees, you'll see it on your right. If you reach the river, you've gone too far.
Okay, let's check the answers. Number 17, we're looking for bridge foundations. And we're starting at the bottom of the map. You see the sign, "You're here." So, to reach the bridge, take the main path ahead of you, so you go straight up, and keep going till the path bends to the left. And we see this narrow road on the right. So take that to take you to the river. And that's where the divers are. So that's the bridge foundations. Number 18, the rubbish pit. This is very near the castle walls. Okay, so the castle walls are on the left of the map. And listen here, in the northwest corner of the site. Because we have 2 options, A and F. But northwest is A. F is actually southwest. So it's a distractor. The answer is A. 19, the meeting hall. So we are in the central area of the site, next to the current excavation area. And we've also heard it's the largest structure. So that's definitely G and not D. Number 20, we're looking for the fish pond. Again, we're starting at the beginning, at the bottom of the map. So you see this little information board sign? That's where we turn right. And follow the path into the trees. So the trees are all around you. Before you come out of the trees, you see it on your right. So that's option E. And if you're in any doubt about option C, they actually say, and if you reach the river, you've gone too far. So that's a distractor. Nice, so part 2 is done. Now we're moving into part 3. And this is where it often gets a bit harder to stay focused, because it's a discussion, and the speakers may change their mind as they talk. But the good news is you've already practiced the key skill for part 3 in part 2. So let's go straight into it. The task type is still multiple choice, but this section behaves a bit differently from part 2. In part 2, you usually hear one speaker presenting information in a factual, organized way. In part 3, it's a discussion, usually between 2 students. And this means people think out loud, they suggest ideas, they change their mind. So the biggest difference here is that you're much more likely to hear distractors. So just a quick reminder of what matters here. Pay attention to the names. Are you looking for what Maya thinks or what Finn thinks? Or what they both agree on? Or maybe something they disagree on? So you're still listening for the final decision, not the first idea. And use review time from part 2 to read questions in part 3. In this particular section, I could read only 4 out of 6 questions in the time allocated, so it's really important to use that review time. Okay, let's try. Read questions 21 to 23. Pause the video now.
So, Finn, I've done as much as I can for our project on theatre programmes. How's your research coming along?
OK, Maya. I didn't know theatre programmes are called playbills in the USA till I started looking into the topic. Even though I struggled to find many useful websites, I'm glad we picked this subject. No one else on the course is doing the same as us, although it is one of the research areas of the module convener.
That might actually put some people off.
I suppose so. Anyway, I hadn't realised there are actually companies specialising in creating theatre programmes.
Yes, they're quite common nowadays. Contrary to what many people think, theatres don't hire people to do the programmes. In fact, companies buy the rights to publish programmes on the theatre's behalf and then make their money selling advertising space within the programme booklet.
It must be easier for theatres to do it that way.
Yes.
I remember reading something about programmes in early British theatre. It said that the cast was always very important.
Yeah, audiences were very familiar with leading actors and big names would draw huge crowds.
But I hadn't realised that if the programme named a famous actor, that's who the public expected to perform. And if that didn't happen, people accused the theatre of breaking their agreement with the audience. They would demand refunds, and if they didn't get them, there were riots.
Let's check the answers. Question number 21. What was Finn pleased to discover about their topic? Oh, we heard that even though I struggle to find many useful websites. Well, that's the opposite of option C, which says that their topic did not prove to be difficult to research. That's incorrect, so C is not our answer, cross it out. And Finn continues, I'm glad we picked this subject. No one else on the course is doing the same as us. And that is option B, their topic had not been chosen by other students. That's our answer. But actually, he mentioned something else. Although this is one of the research areas of the module convener. And that's the opposite of option A, which says that their topic was not familiar to the module leader. Module leader is a module convener. So again, this is the opposite, another distractor. 21B. Number 22, we're looking for what Maya thinks is a mistaken belief about theatre programs. And she says, contrary to what many people think, so a mistaken belief, theatres don't hire people to do the programs. And that's option A. The mistaken belief is that theatres pay companies to produce them. No, they don't. So A is our correct answer. And later we hear that those companies sell advertising space in the program booklet. So we hear the keyword from option C, adverts. But option C actually says that they contain more adverts than previously, but we don't know if that's true or not. We just know that they contain adverts. And option B wasn't really mentioned. The answer is 22A. 23. Finn was surprised that in early British theatre programs. Here is what we hear. He says he didn't realize, or he was surprised, that if a program named a famous actor, the public expected him or her to perform. And if that didn't happen, people accused the theatre of breaking their agreement. So they saw the program as a kind of contract. The answer is 23C. And actually, option B, programs were given out free of charge, We've already heard that this is not true, that some companies made money by selling them, so we know that option B is incorrect. And we haven't really heard anything about option A. The answer is 23C. Could you feel the difference between multiple choice in part 2 and 3? Now, the task type changes again, and this time it's matching features. So which comment is made about the program for each of the following shows? And then we have a number of options in the box, comments about program. And we have questions from 27 to 30. They are called shows. Here is how to find your way through this task and find more correct answers. And the most important thing is this. You always start with the options, not the questions. Read through the list of options and make sure you understand the meaning behind each option, because those are going to be paraphrased. You're not going to hear the same words. They're not even going to be very closely paraphrased. Just the idea is going to be the same. And we're not paying attention to the questions because, well, questions are in order, and that's exactly what you're going to hear, the name of each show. Now, and this is where many people make mistakes. Matching is not about finding the same words. The correct answer is usually expressed using different words, but the same idea. So you're listening for meaning. And another really important habit here is elimination. Once you've used an option, cross it out on paper to clearly see what's left. On computer, you'll see automatically. And one final reminder, in matching tasks, you often have more options than questions, so some options won't be used at all. Okay, now let's apply this. Pause the video and read through all the options and then answer questions 27 to 30.
I've got some pictures of programs we could include on the slides for our presentation.
I found a couple too, Maya. Let's go through and see what we think.
This is an old one for a play called Ruy Blas.
Never heard of that. But the program looks very decorative.
Good enough to put in a frame on the wall. The images are just beautiful. Finn, what did you find?
I've got some pages from a program for Man of La Mancha. I thought this was a good program to show, not because of the pictures, but because it contains articles written by members of the theatre company. So we can learn how the production was created and the thoughts and feelings of the cast.
Good. I've got a copy of a program that's now in a museum. It's for The Tragedy of Jane Shaw, and it's said to be the earliest surviving document to have been printed on Australia's first printing press.
Fantastic!
Another program to talk about is for the Sailors Festival. It comes from the British Library's digitised collection of programs that was started a few years ago. It already comprises over 200,000 programs, which is amazing.
Wish I'd known about it while I was doing my research.
Okay, how did that go? Let me show you the answers, and I want you to pay attention to what you heard in the recording and what the answer is. Because it's not just a light paraphrasing with exactly the same meaning. It's actually just the idea that's the same, but the interpretation of the idea is quite different. Let's start with number 27, Ruy Blas. And Maya says, the program is good enough to put in a frame on the wall. The images are just so beautiful. And this is option F. It resembles an artwork. It could be put on the wall. Number 28, Man of La Mancha. And Finn says that we can learn how the production was created and the thoughts and feelings of the cast. And that is option E. It contains insights into the show. Again, not a direct paraphrasing. What about number 28? The Tragedy of Jane Shaw. And Maya says it's said to be the earliest surviving document to have been printed on Australia's first printing press. And that is option B. it's historically significant for a country because it was printed on their first printing press. So it's historically significant for Australia. And number 30, the Sailors Festival. Maya says it comes from the British Library's digitised collection of programs that was started a few years ago. And that is option D. It's included in a recent project. So the British Library started their digitised collection several years ago, and they included this program into the collection. 30D. Good. So that's matching. And now we move into part 4, which takes us back to the fill in the blanks. But this one is more complex. So let's see how it's different and how to solve it. In part 1, the conversation is quite natural and interactive. In part 4, you're listening to a lecture, and the information is much more structured and dense. It's faster paced and there is more information. So the challenge here is keeping track of where you are in the talk. And one thing that really helps is paying attention to the subheaders in the notes. They're there to guide you through the lecture. For example, definition, examples of inclusive design, and impact of non-inclusive designs. So now you know what's coming next. All right, let's apply this. We're going to do questions 31 to 34. And before you start the recording, look at the subheaders and how they divide the lecture into parts. Ready?
It's only relatively recently that designers have become aware of the need to be inclusive when designing products. But what does that mean exactly? Well, it simply means designing products that span economic, social, and cultural barriers. It means making sure products are accessible, so that as many different types of people as possible can use them without any type of adaptation having to be made to the original design. Inclusive design is often linked with universal design, although they are not quite the same thing. Universal design aims to make products that work for everyone, and that includes considering the needs of people who have cognitive difficulties, which can present quite a challenge. Today, examples of successful inclusive design can be seen all around us. In workplaces, it is common to see desks which can be adjusted to suit people of different heights, or for wheelchair users. This still isn't always the case, however, and is one reason why office workers often suffer from back or neck problems. You'll find another example in the public toilets of countless hotels, airports, and offices. Taps that you activate by sensor require no pressing or twisting movements. These are not only more hygienic, they're also easier for people with dexterity or mobility issues.
Let's check the answers. 31. As many different types of people as possible can use them without any type of adaptation. So 31, adaptation. 32, considering the needs of people who have cognitive difficulties. Or catering for people with cognitive problems. 33, desks, which can be adjusted to suit people of different heights. So 33, desks. And 34, taps that you can activate by sensor require no pressing or twisting movements. 34, taps. And this brings us to the end of the IELTS listening test. Well done! How many questions did you answer correctly? Let me know in the comments. And which question type did you find most difficult? I can tell you that most of my students vote for multiple choice. And in this video, we're gonna go deeper into this type of questions and the strategy to use and how to answer them more confidently so your score goes up. Don't forget to download the free IELTS study plan, and thank you so much for watching this video.